We appreciate your feedback, your texts coming through thick and fast. Gary's in a bit of trouble. So if you're just tuning into us at 4 minutes past 7, we had the quiz. It was a good one. It was all about hotheads. Back of Toby Green's back. Mike Tyson's punched someone on a plane this morning.
About
and
12 times.
For those that called up and participated, we asked them if they'd played football and if they'd been suspended. Gary said he had, but he wouldn't tell us what for. We've since done an investigation. We found out it was in interaction with a goal umpire.
Interaction.
And there's some further information coming through on the text machine, Kingy.
There is. Kingy, I was the first player in Eastern Footy League to get done by trial. He got 6.
He got 6
Got
weeks.
6.
What did he do?
I don't know what he did. On the little sneaky, I've just received a little sneaky text, a little private one. I won't disclose this person's name. I wanted to ring in and do the quiz, but I didn't want to admit to being rubbed out for biting.
Who could that be? That's not many people
I'm
left.
not joining the dots.
Not many left.
Oh,
so it's
that's
a very
hilarious.
good morning to you if you're just waking up to us this morning. We're going into Adelaide and Melbourne, WA, Tassie, the top end, Sunraysia, Bunbury, Geelong, Bendigo, and around the world. Crystal clear on the SEN app. Joining us on the McCafe menu this morning, of course, they are our official coffee partner, the Sydney coach, John Longmire, Port Adelaide assistant coach, Chad Corns, and the Gold Coast Suns boss, Stewie Dew. The Friday agenda coming your way and a chance to give you away a great gift worth $5,000 thanks to Callaway Golf. You just got to get involved and joining the show with us, 1300 736 736. Geez, you didn't miss the Bombers.
No, we and I don't. It's just always a bit of a fine line. This one, I don't like it being so personal when you isolate one or two players from the team issue.
Yep.
But the vision was so damning, and to be perfectly honest, we could have done a half an hour on them. We could have shown 10 players that did the same sorts of things, and most of those players are senior core players.
So. Part of what you said during the week was uncompetitive and embarrassing. This is a strong quote, but they're the nicest team in the AFL. Every team in the competition would love to play against the Bombers every week. This is a proud footy club that want for nothing, and I can't believe where they're at right now. I really can't. Andy McGrath, one of their leaders, was on Sports Day Victoria yesterday. I found this pretty interesting.
Yeah, we've spoken a lot about our discipline as a playing group, and just not getting things done that are at.
Get to that point. I mean, and he was terrific. It was a 10-minute interview. It was as honest and as upfront as I've heard a player this year. So well done. Matthew Lloyd was involved in the interview and really put to him some tough questions. And it was a good one if you want to go back and catch up on the whole thing. But how does it get to the point at round 6, Kingy, where you're not at AFL standard, where you're questioning the discipline, and when you've put a full stop on not accepting those efforts anymore? Why is that just happening now would be the question.
Yeah. So Daniel Horn and I have focused on teams without possession of the football in the last 12 months or so.
So Melbourne are the best by how far?
By panels. Well, they were last year. They're not right now.
Right.
They were last year.
So who's flying in that area? Without the footy, who... Because it's not the stuff fans talk about, but who's really good without the ball?
Right now, Fremantle are number one for this season. That's the only reason they are where they are. So it's outstanding what they're doing. So we're talking about things like not being able to move the ball coast to coast against them, third best in the comp. Once you drive the ball inside 50, is your back six able to stand up, or your team defence once they roll back and help? They're top 3 in the comp. They're number 1 for pressure. They're number 1 for intercepting the ball in between the arcs. So all those things make you difficult to play against. So every coach wants to be the most difficult to play against. That's why they're in form. Essendon this season are ranked 18th without the football. So don't worry about Port Adelaide and don't worry about North Melbourne or the West Coast Eagles.
West Coast, yeah.
They are 18th. So it makes you think, okay, well, is this just a problem that's one of those, 3-week issues we'll get through? So go back and have a look at last year just to make sure, this is just not a common problem for them. So without the football last year, ranked 16th. Without the football the year before, ranked 18th. So this is not, for me, this is not a 6-week problem or a 5-week problem. This has been an issue for as long as Ben Rutten's been at Essendon.
So I went back on Monday and had a look at some quotes that Ben Rutten had said when he got the job. And he was a defensive minded coach. I mean, that was what he was. That was his almost his DNA, if you like, when he came across, and that was what he was really strong to build. Was that exactly that, to be hard to play against. So it's 3 years now in the Rutten system. It's not 2. It's essentially 3 where
50 games.
he's been in charge of this and implementing his game style. So
let's cut him some slack, right? Okay, so we've given him a bit of a workout this week, and that's the reality of AFL football. If you're short of the mark, no, don't explain, don't complain. Just get on with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's judge. Let's put a little note in the diary here. Let's give them 4 weeks. Let's watch what they're like without the football in the next 4 weeks. And if they don't, and I'm not talking about moving from 18th to 15th or 18th to 13th. If they're fair dinkum about what they're saying, it's not a 120-minute fix. It's a 10-week block. So let's judge the next 4 weeks and see if they can find themselves in just the next 4 weeks in the top 4 in the comp without the footy. Because if they do, they become a serious football team.
Collingwood, Hawthorn, Sydney, and in the next 4 weeks they take on Richmond. So there's a couple of tough games and a couple of games that they should win there. Bombers fans, get involved. The temper text is 0433 98 11 16.
I tell you who got let off lightly, the ruckman, Sam Draper. He's a walker. Walkers kill you in football. Guys that walk around break you down everywhere.
There was the one clip with the ball coming inside from Young to Brayshaw, who kicked a walk-in goal. That was the one I saw. He had to, and it's tough to explain it on radio, but he had to just cover off on an
It's
opponent.
sort of tough to explain on your show too that you're doing on Monday. You need to do something with your graphics.
Don't you start.
If you've got a budget,
It doesn't have to be all bells. It doesn't have to be bells and whistles.
Your vision's
It doesn't
like
have
really
to be.
grainy.
No, it's just about content.
Is it the same vision
We
get at Fox?
just set the agenda
grainy.
and drive the content. That's what we do.
No cash.
Leon Cameron, Kingy, easy. No cash, no.
Grainy.
Leon Cameron.
Yeah.
He went on AFL 360 on Monday, and Robbo was really direct with a question. He just said, "Do you want to coach this team?" Here's his response.
But equally, I love coaching at the moment. But I'm not silly either, Robbo. I mean, I know where it sits. We're 1-4. I'm a realist. I need to coach.
Blokes on first crack don't miss coaches and their comments after the game. But Ben Dixon went on for about 5 minutes about Ken Hinkley saying that he can still play finals.
Yeah, then we can disagree with that.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with his comment, but that's okay.
Of all the topics over the weekend, you led the show.
I think this is graphic related.
You
or
led
vision
the
related.
show with Ken Hinkley still
Ben decided that was his first.
still daring to say that he could still play finals with 5 weeks into the
because
season.
I think he's putting that on the agenda because in 3 weeks' time, if you say, "No, we're rebuilding," well, then what was the point of saying, "Oh, we're going to make finals"?
He didn't say we're going to. He said, "I've still got great belief in the group that we can."
Yeah, and Ben didn't agree.
Led the show.
He doesn't pick on your little, what do you call it? Close
checking.
checking.
So, that's the last time I'm telling you that because I know that you watch it. Because I know
It's
that
hard to watch because it's very
I know that
grainy.
you steal little clips from it.
So we're on Sunday, mate. We're on Sunday night.
How do you?
You're after
on
us.
Sunday morning. How do you decipher those comments from Leon? And what could he, if you're going to be analysing coaches' comments, I would have loved for him to have said, I want to coach this group. I believe in this group. I really want to take this team to a premiership. I'm your guy. He fell short of saying that, and it's got the Buckleys written about it, doesn't it, last year with Leon? Does it feel that way to you?
It does. It does because it's 9 years in the system, 10 years at GWS. So you sort of can't be dropping off at this stage. I reckon there's significant years in your career as a coach. I reckon your third year is the toughest one. You need to be improving in your third year, otherwise decisions are made, and they usually go against you. Whether it be costing you finance or costing you an extension. And I think after a series of series of finals wins and a grand final in 2019, it is hard. It looks like this is a rebuild to me. So if it's a rebuild, why does he have the markers that are ahead of that stage? Why does he have to be a top 4, top 6 team with a rebuilding program right now? I think that's a bit unfair. So unless that conversation with David Matthews and the senior hierarchy at GWS is around, hey, we know you're rebuilding And if you can make finals this year, we roll on. I think that would be a common sense discussion.
Mm.
I don't think he's any chance of finishing top 4. But to do it without Toby Green, I mean, we've heard coaches whinging all year about the lack of talent availability. I hope he can get rolling. I don't think there's anyone in Victoria thinks that he'll still have his job at the end of the year.
Yeah. So we've been just a touch negative there on Essendon and also GWS and others.
I think just before we leave Leon's been a very good coach.
Outstanding. Leon's been outstanding.
I've got no doubt that if Leon found his way out of GWS this year, that he would get another opportunity at some point in the next 3 to 4 years.
So I reckon he's very similar to Ken, and I think Ken's been outstanding for Port Adelaide. A very, very good coach, similar to Leon with a similar record. Who are you starting to believe in? Kingy, clearly you believe in Melbourne, but it's never been more even, I think, and just scrolling through the ladder, you can see that.
Yeah.
But who is, I mean, you guys have spoken a lot about St Kilda. You're starting to speak about Fremantle, who rightly so you've been
I want to see St Kilda. I still want to see Fremantle. They've got they've done a lot right, but the quality of opponent is something that just sits in my craw a little bit. Brisbane are hard to walk away. I think Brisbane, if you're a gambling man, the price on Brisbane right now is wrong. I think they're going to really come with a run. They're a senior core lineup now. They have got all bases covered on field. The Zorko move to halfback's the number one move in the game this year.
Wow.
What he's been able to do, he's all Australian right now. He's a corridor kicker. He's in the top 5 field kicks in the competition right now, and he doesn't. He's having that purple patch where midfielders go to halfback and they just they either see the game perfectly or they battle to locate an opponent. He's seeing the game perfectly. And he's changed their ball movement from 10th in the competition last year, coast to coast, to number 1. That's another asset they didn't have. So they're making a significant move. Keep your eyes on the Western Bulldogs. They're going to come with a run the next 6 to 8 weeks. The draw opens up a little bit for them, and I think they're still tinkering with their lineup and their mechanics. The dropping out of the stand protected zone, they're doing something different there. I think that'll bear some fruit in the next 4 to 6 weeks. The Swans are getting better and better. Their availability is terrific. I'm looking forward to talking to John Longmire later about what he's doing with their hardness and their toughness. So there are some different sorts of teams. Geelong we're not sure about. Port Adelaide have dropped off the face of the earth from last year's campaign. Who else is there? Who else is there really?
Dogs?
Well, the Dogs I like. I think the Dogs could be, 7-4 and rolling again, just pre the bye. But I think their answers forward of centre are starting to come. Now, we've talked a lot about their forward 50.
A lot of temper texts coming through. It's tough to sort of work our way through all of them, so apologies if we don't get to all of you. Kane, in one sentence you're saying Hinkley is fine, and then next you're saying Cameron's year is like Buckley's last year with about 1 million laughing emojis. I never said Ken Hinkley is fine. I said he's been a very good coach, and the discussion about his future will come at the end of the year. He's contracted for a further year than what Leon is. Kane,
most coaches get sacked in contract.
Yeah, there's a 6-month clause for Ken, so it's still gonna cost though. It's not insignificant. It's still gonna cost Port Adelaide $300,000 to $400,000 to pay out Ken Hinkley's deal.
Wow.
Like, it's just that's what it is.
Chad to take over.
Kane, in one breath, you said the next 4 weeks Essendon are gonna
for Chad
win.
to take over. Did you miss
Shut up! I'm trying to answer this text message. Which game should the Bombers win in the next 4 weeks? Well, they should absolutely beat Collingwood. Absolutely this week. Then in the next 4, they play Hawthorn. I think there's a game in there, so they should probably win that one. Anyway, who knows?
What are we going to do about
last week?
What are we going to do about this rubbish where you just put players' names in at selection, knowing they're not going to play?
Can we hold that thought?
Yeah.
Let's do that on the other side of this. It's Fireball Friday. It's 3 minutes after 7 o'clock. We're here for Kogan. Make the switch. Call Kogan Mobile. And for Melbourne Airport parking, nothing beats $12 a day parking at Melbourne Airport. Paddy Dangerfield is struggling the last month. His numbers have dropped off the charts. Chris Scott was asked about it in his media conference after Easter Monday's game against the Hawks, and he basically admitted that he's got an injury. He wasn't prepared to say what it was. And Patrick is almost dictating where he's playing at the moment. Is that the way you sort of interpreted those comments? Because they were a bit cryptic.
I love Paddy.
We all
and
do.
he's great for us in the media. I don't know of a player that I know more regularly that they're playing injured than Paddy Dangerfield.
Mm.
We never find out about players' injuries, yet we always know when Paddy's injured.
Cripps was the other. So I reckon Cripps was injured for 2 years.
And no one
There
really
was
touched on it.
There was a sense around it, but we never sort of know. So, what are you saying there?
Well, no, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that he's the only one we always know is injured. So I just think.
So how do you deal with it? Because he's a walk-up. You look at his record. He's an 8-time All-Australian. He's brilliant, like everything that he's done, but it's almost to the point where Chris can't play him where he wants to play him.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Without him healthy and firing, they're a different team.
How bad's he going then? So on field,
how bad?
You've seen the numbers and the under 20 disposals and all of that, but you definitely don't see the cleanliness. I think he's fumbling the ball more than he has. He's not certainly hitting the scoreboard or impacting the scoreboard, score involvement or scores himself. And he's not getting those front of centre possessions streaming towards goal that we saw in the first half in round one.
There's very little damage in his game at the moment.
Yeah.
9 contested possessions the last 2 weeks. That's not him. He's usually a 14 to 15 type operator. He's all brute force. So So we talk a lot about can one player correct a profile. So Dangerfield comes into Geelong way back when. All of a sudden they become a contested possession unit because that one beast can make that difference. So Fife coming into Fremantle will make a huge difference to their ability to start with the footy at clearance or start with it post-contest. So Geelong's profile right now, they're 11th in the competition for that contest post-clearance, so in general play. That's not them. They've been top of the pops for forever. So that's the effect that it has, the domino effect it has on your team is you ask lesser players to elevate their performance, and that really hasn't happened. So it's a significant problem for Geelong, and at some point you're going to have to make a call. If he's injured, is it worth just rolling on? If he's injured to a point where he can't function, then the answer is yes. But if he's not, you just have to get on with it. I do think we hear about Patrick being injured more than any other player.
Yep. Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. No, I do. He's often got something. Now, sometimes it's visible, like the hand that he's had, and it's been strapped up. But yeah, every so often we are asking and talking about.
So what would you do then?
No, I would say I need to be able to play you where I want to play you. If I halfway through the first quarter want you to play on ball, you've got to accept that message and go inside on ball. Now, if you're not physically capable of doing that, then you can't play. Like you could say, you can play on one leg in the forward 50 and perhaps you might be semi-effective, but you can't be hamstrung like that as a coach to have your best player and you can't use him how you want to use him because he's worried about contact or whatever it is. It was a sort of a cryptic statement. From Chris Scott, Geelong fans, you can have your say. Zach Merritt's been named. So Kingy, in round 2, he had that ankle injury, the syndesmosis. The club released a statement saying he'll miss between 6 to 8 weeks. It's round 6 and he's been named. What's your view? Does he play?
Well, I just think we should have a greater understanding of where the player's at. Like, the only people that they're hiding this from is the fan. The opposition clubs have a great education on where they're at because they're watching training. They'll make a call, yep, we think he's going to play, or we don't think he's going to play. Or he might have restricted minutes, or he might play a different role. So that'll be on Stringer and Merritt. So Essendon will know, their opponents Collingwood will know. The bookmakers know because they know everything. They get information from inside of clubs and from track walkers, the whole lot. They get all that. So the only people that get short-changed on all of this is the fan. The AFL have to do something about the naming of teams. The constant changing, late change scenario, in my opinion, is disrespectful to the fan.
100%. So I'm looking at the teams that were named yesterday. It doesn't even give you a reason they're missing. So Riley Garcia, to pluck a name from the Western Bulldogs, he's out, in brackets, injured. Tim English, injured. That used to say Tim English hamstring.
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Or Rory Sloane, it doesn't even say, we know he's had surgery to repair an ACL. It doesn't even say knee. Like, you're right, the disrespect it shows to fans. And we went through a stage where I think it improved. We had officials even mid-game speaking to the broadcaster after half-time saying such and such has been subbed out. He's got this. we think it'll be this. And it was information to the fan. The American sports do it better than anyone.
Oh, they do.
They absolutely take the mickey, AFL clubs, with their fans in terms of injuries.
If in America, if you do not nominate an injured player and say that he's doubtful to play or unlikely to play or whatever the term they use is, and they have an operation or things like that, they get fined like $1 million. It's a serious offence over there. And gambling's become such a part of our culture now. I think the AFL have to crack down on the teams just putting these fictitious names.
So if we still think Merritt's 3 to 4 weeks away, if he doesn't play this week, and then he doesn't play next week, should the club be fined?
Oh, I think so. I mean, you're just dudding the fan.